Hello, welcome to another Writerly Witterings, with today some Duchess Grey. Brilliant tea from Williamson's. So what are we talking about today? We're going back to inks. I recently discovered, or should I say rediscovered, my old original ink testing books, and I thought it'd be useful to have a look at some of them, especially since someone has recently asked me for a view of a comparison between the different types of pink from Diamine. So here we go. So this was one of the first books I picked up on when I thought I'd like to try out some inks, and it didn't work terribly well, because if you see here, although it's rather nice, I tried to do ink drops and all sorts. So Iroshizuku, Tsuyukusa and Ajisai and Yuyake, and all of them were pretty bad. This is reasonable quality paper, it's Leuchtturm, but you can see that there was feathering and bleeding everywhere. It was a bit of a shock to my system. And the reason why I discovered was because I was using this to write with the ink, because I thought a dip pen would be the best approach, since it would mean that I could dip the pen, write, flush it, well, not even flush it, just rinse it through, and then I'd be okay. But obviously a dip pen puts down a rather large amount of ink when you're using it, and so each of these bled through and made a horrible mess. And so that was when I decided it would probably be a better idea to use a different approach. And the approach I hit upon was using a TWSBI 1.1mm stub in a TWSBI Go. And here we have a selection of inks that I did. I wrote with the TWSBI, and then I used a cotton bud to do some swatches, because it struck me that would be an interesting way of doing it. Sunset Yellow, which I thought was really rather nice. I commented it's not a fast drying ink. There's a fair bit of bleed through from the 1.1 stub, as you can see. This is Diamine Yellow. Now, oddly enough, it shows up much more clearly on this camera than it does in real life. It is, in real life, a very bright yellow, but because it's so pale, it's quite hard to see where each letter begins and the page, where each letter begins on the page. You know what I mean. The boundary, the outline is very difficult to see. Whereas yellow, sunshine yellow, I thought was really rather good. Very orange yellow effect. Orange, lovely bright colour. Garish, yeah, actually Garish. It's far better, I think, when you use it really thickly, but the ordinary is a bit too nah. Blaze Orange. Now this does appear to have some shading, which none of the others has, but it's really, you can see why perhaps I didn't do much more with any of these inks. The amber I think is rather lovely, it's nice. It's a bit like sepia, but again without so much shading. You can see a bit of shading here, but not an awful lot. It is a nice bright colour, but not as bright as some of the other ones, which are really rather garish. Ancient Copper, gorgeous. Very, very nice. Very wet, well lubricated. It's strange how different inks can flow very differently through the same pen. Autumn Oak, I was expecting really rather a stronger golden colour, but I really like this, and it gives a lovely effect on the page, as you can see. Good oaky tinge, sort of a dark sepia. Deep dark orange I have reviewed fully. Looks nice here. I really enjoyed that. That's a nice colour. And now we get on to the colours which are, to my taste, ye gods. No, I'll never use them. Peach haze. It's interesting. I can see why some people would like it, but it's not for me. Coral. Even worse. It's very, very bright. More of a crimsonish tinge. Looks much better in writing than it does when you do it on a sort of swab test. Pink. As I say, I'd be very unlikely to use. It's enormously bright, but well, it does work and it's effective with a stub nib. Hope pink is even brighter. Oh, I've said it's leery. I think leery is a pretty good term for it. It's just a bit off-putting. It is probably useful for, as I say, signs and cards and things. Flamingo pink. It's a very bright pink. Actually, I think it's quite usable. I don't mind this so much. I say it's less pink, more orange in the final. Don't know where I got orange from, but it's definitely, I think, much more usable than Hope pink or pink itself. It's more of a reddish colour to it, which I think is rather better. Cerise. I've said like flamingo, but perhaps a bit of a blue tinge. Really odd. And as I say, I've no idea where those drips came from. It's just one of those sort of things. Pumpkin. Now this I like. Really, really like. Sort of like autumn oak, wherever that's gone. Back here. More what I'd expected from autumn oak, really, to an extent, because it reminds me much more of the colour of the leaves on the trees late autumn in the UK. And then other ones which I have reviewed elsewhere, so I'm not going to go through them. But out of all this lot, pumpkin I think is lovely. Very usable. I will be using it. I cannot imagine a time that I would ever want to use cerise, flamingo or hope or pink. They're just colours that are far too bright. Coral, possibly. Possibly. It's got an interesting sort of shade to it. Peach haze. Again, it's an interesting colour. I say here it's too pale for my taste. Actually, my taste has changed and now paler inks really appeal to me, but don't know. It's not a manly sort of a colour, is it? Deep dark orange definitely is. That's a nice one. It's actually more of a brown the way it goes down. A red ancient copper, I said. Yeah, very appealing, and I like that. Autumn oak I like a lot. Ancient copper, I like it, but it's not a colour I'd go overboard with. I'm not very fond of browns generally, and it comes out a bit brown. The amber, yes, that's a possibility. I like that. Blaze orange, definitely nice. Straight orange is a little bit too garish for me. Whereas the sunshine yellow, sunset yellow, are both really very appealing. The yellow I like the concept of, but it's just too pale for me. It wouldn't quite work, I don't think. So there you go. So there you go. 2 books. Interesting selection of colours. Some of those pinks are just too damn bright for my taste, but yeah, they appeal to other people, and that's fine. I do like some of the others, but it does show, for me, interestingly, just how different dip pens are and how badly they can work on standard paper. Whereas even simple 1.1 stub with a TWSBI makes a much better impact on the page. It doesn't bleed through, doesn't feather, doesn't give any of the problems that I had originally with my dip pen. So, hope Hope that was interesting. Thanks a lot for watching. Sorry it's a bit of a rush today, but I've got an awful lot on now. I've still got to finish this book, which is working well, but there's a lot to it. So, hope that was interesting. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel, go down to the bottom. You can hit the subscribe. You can go to a Patreon link down the bottom. If you do subscribe, then hit the bell button so you're notified when there's a new video coming out. And like it, share it, tell your friends, all that sort of stuff. But for now, thanks a lot for watching, and I'm going to go back to my cup of tea. Take care. Bye.